Petty cash a little bit. Total cash available $30,237 with $62.60 in deferred income thanks to our 3-year renewal program. Our $15,000 in capital reserve in case all of our computers die. Unallocated available for immediate disposal, $88.56. Equipment inventory at $33,350. And thanks to you, our Grafton Food Pantry contribution last month was $80. Membership update. We went to 1-year and 3-year options for renewals last time around. And our 1-year membership renewal rate was $466. Our 3-year memberships were $1,007 for a total of $1,473. Computer Club Matters. Our meeting schedule will continue on second Thursday of the month here at 9 a.m. Coffee and donuts at 8:30. Our lab will be open Monday and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to noon. The Apple Group continues to meet on the first Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. in the lab. And with so many snowbirds in the photography group, we'll be reconvening on April the 6th. Meeting schedule, Thursday, March 10th, the Huntley Library presentation, What's New in the Huntley Library. April presentation, make sure you paid your parking tickets and speeding tickets. Yes, computers at work in criminal investigation and other matters. And in May, password managers, are they a good idea? Now, I've seen many people come to the lab with their password list on 4 pages of an Excel spreadsheet. And we'll compare that approach to doing a password manager software package. Our computer club classes are free for members. No registration required, just show up. Now remember to bring your password sheets, just in case you need to access your device when you're there at the class. And as long as, at least maybe starting March 1st, it won't be required, but until then, masks are required. It depends on what our governor decides to do. And Ralph Winnis, our Director of Education, has a few kind words for us.
Yes. Well, good morning. Fortunately, we have 5 classes scheduled for the month of February, and all of them are still coming up. We haven't had any yet, so we're going to kind of go through them a little bit. David, you said just slide that baby up.
To the left. Go to the left.
I don't have a tablet. He says it's real simple. Oh,
That's page 2.
no, that's page 1. But anyway, there's quite a variety of classes we have for February, and hopefully you'll attend. We've seen a few more people coming to classes. You can see we got iPhone and Excel. We've really been concentrating quite a bit on phones because it seems like everybody's got one. As a matter of fact, you know anybody that doesn't have a smartphone or a flip phone? There's still a few flip, but I mean everybody's got phones carrying around. So there's always something coming up with questions on phones. We get a lot of requests for Excel. George has already done 1 program in January. He's going to do another one in February, and then a 3rd one in March on different aspects of Excel. He probably could do one every day on Excel for 20 years and not cover everything that it'll do. So there's a lot of things that you can really pick up on these classes on what you can do with Excel. How many people in here have Windows 11? Just out of curiosity. Well, there's a few. You're going to be happy to know we had 1 class on Windows 11 in January. Shelley is going to do a class in February on Zoom, and then in March in person. So as we're getting more and more people getting Windows 11 and more questions coming up, really it's 10 just improved, but they changed the name so you can't find anything. And that's why we have to come to classes. So I'm sure you'll be happy when you see that. If you have any requests for different programs, if we get several people, 3 or 4 maybe requesting the same subject, I'll try to find an instructor. It's pretty hard sometimes. Somebody comes, oh, why don't you have a class on such and such? Well, is that the only person that's going to attend? And then normally I keep asking, well, is there anybody out there that would be willing to teach a class? I mean, I know you know a lot of stuff about different computer items, but it's pretty hard to, unless we have a subject to say, well, would you teach a class on this or that? If you'd be willing to teach a class, let any of the monitors in the lab know, and they'll make sure they get it to me, and I'll contact you. We'll try to work it out, because we would like to get some additional classes. I know there's more and more things coming up with computers and different software coming out. So keep us informed on what you'd like to find more information on. We'll try to find an instructor, maybe it'll even be you, to give the class. So hopefully as we go forward, we'll have at least 6 or 8 classes a month, and we expect pretty good attendance, because it's really bad when an instructor spends 2 or 3 hours preparing for a class or more, Shelley, and he has 4 people show up. So please try to come to classes and keep asking questions, and we'll try to get you the answers. Thanks.
One thing I want to touch on, you notice here on the LibreOffice, it is a Zoom class. The information for logging into the Zoom class will be out in Sunday morning's email on the classes. So you'll have your login information and everything else you need to log in for LibreOffice. And as it says here, these apps are similar to Microsoft Office, except they're free. So just put that in the back of your mind. Community matters, alert, alert, alert. Jameson's will be closed for Super Bowl. But they'll be open again for Valentine's Day. The next new resident orientation is on the 15th. For those of you so inclined, bingo is on the 16th. The Sun City Board meeting is on the 23rd. And the Northwest Medical Wellness Center are services by appointment only. You cannot prevent robocalls, but we will show you now how to silence them. Hope this works.
Report being expired and avoided. Press 2 to decline and be placed on our A&C list, or press 1 to speak with a specialist to reinstate. For extended warranty, press 1 to speak to a specialist now, or call 833-304-1447 UST.
How many of you have gotten a call like that lately? How many of you would like to continue to get those calls? Now we'll talk about, I'm going to be doing iPhone privacy, and Steve Klein, who is our Android phone instructor, will be talking about Android phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it when you get a call about a car you never owned. As I said, it's impossible to stop robocalls. They're going to happen. There's not much you can do about it. But Apple and with the iPhone has come up with ways and means of preventing them from actually ringing on your phone. And we're going to walk through that. So, if you have an iPhone, turn it on and click on the settings icon. I call that a gearbox. This is a free class, all right? We get into detail when I do my iPhone class coming up on, I think, the 15th. All right, click on settings. And this screen comes up. It says settings at the top and your name is up there. Down near the bottom of your screen, you may have to scroll up to get to it, is the word focus. Earlier versions of the iOS, it says do not disturb. But if you're at 15.2 or 3, it says focus. So you click on focus. Top of the page, it says focus. Then it says do not disturb below that. Click on the do not disturb. It's gonna be all together here. We're all do not disturb, okay? And you click on, this screen comes up and you click on people. Then you can identify the people you want listed there. But you click on that. And then this screen comes up that says allowed people. And in the big box square there, it says that the phone will accept calls from all contacts. And what that means is that if someone that's not in your contact list calls you, your phone doesn't ring, the call is blocked, and it goes directly to voicemail. Now, if you've got a new doctor, and we've had this problem, the call will go to voicemail, and you'll see it there. So then you have to add them into your contact list. So if there's a future call, it'll ring through. All right? That's the critical point right there. Is you allow calls from all contacts. Now, there's more options if you want. Those of you who are familiar with Control Center, open that up and click on Focus there. And we show you how to get to Control Center in class. And then you see a screen, again, a Do Not Disturb, and it's got 3 little dots. Huh?
How do you get Control Center?
We'll show you in the class. We're not going to do it today. I gotta get students, you know, and you gotta get a reason to come to the class. So you click on the 3 dots, and then this screen opens. And this gives you more options. One of the options is that the phone will not ring while you're at this location. So when you go to church or not, you can set it up so the phone will not ring when you're in church. But when you leave the church or when you leave Drendel Hall, it'll turn back on. How many have had grandkids come in and mess up your phone? Now, the iPhone privacy option gives you control over whose call gets through to you. I believe the Android option will give you the same result. It's important to take advantage of it because their computers are going to keep calling you and trying to get through. Now, if you have, like we have it in my house, your home phone service set up via VoIP, VoIP, which is Voice over Internet Provider. One of the side benefits is that you can have your smartphone ring, have the VoIP ring on your cell phone when it also rings on your home phone. And again, if you have your phone set up to only accept calls from all contacts, your home phone will ring once, your smartphone won't ring at all, but there'll be a message in the voicemail. It goes right to voicemail. We will take questions later. That's a quick overview. Now you know how to silence your phone, your iPhone, and we'll have Steve come up and talk about Android. As I said, we will take questions later. Steve?
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming out this morning. Was a little bit slick getting in here, but has anyone heard the birds chirping these last couple of mornings? Isn't that wonderful? I was just amazed at that. So I do the Android class at the computer lab. And for those of you who have gone to that class, you know that we had the technology at the lab so that I can cast my screen, my cell phone screen, to the big screen. You know, we have some terrific technology there in the lab, you know, from changing your old photos to digital and video, VHS tapes and such. We just don't have that technology here in the ballroom. So I'm going to do this presentation the old-fashioned way. So we're just having a little bit of technicality. Yep. So David, that presentation was excellent. We pretty much have that same option on Do Not Disturb on Android phones. So, and just a quick question here, and a quick show of hands. And in this question, for those of us who are multi-user proficianos, where you have both an iPhone and an Android phone, please answer this question on what your preference is. So how many have iPhones out there? That's a lot of people. And how about the smartphone Android? So it's about 50-50. Pretty interesting. So once we get this slide up, we'll... So, you know, the nice thing about these devices, whether it's an iPhone or an Android phone, is they do so much. The bad thing about these phones is they do so much. You know, you can't figure things out, right? So we do these classes to help you get really comfortable using your phone and getting really good at it. Because for all of us, they're so useful, it's really good to have these always within your fingertips, just within your reach. You never know when you have that billion-dollar idea and you go, gosh, that's a great idea. You can throw it in your phone and have that idea. Now, how many times have you thought about something and you know, what was that? I should have wrote that down. And you forget it. You know, that could be a billion-dollar idea that you just let slip through your fingers. So we do have the screen up. So on the Android phones, we have that same gear type device that says settings. When you click on that, you go into your main settings screen. And one of the options on there is notifications. Now, anytime that you're working in the settings on a phone, and David, I'm sure this is true with the iPhone too, you have to be really careful when you're in settings, because this section changes critical things on how your phone is set up. It's nice that we have the ability to change these things, but when you're in this section, you really want to pay attention to what you're doing, because you don't want to do something inadvertently. Because once you exit and you pick up your phone, the next time you go, why is it doing that? How do I change that? And if you don't have the presence of mind of how that got set up that way, it's very difficult to undo it. We would try and do that for you at the lab if that were to happen to you. But there's so much useful stuff in these settings features that it's worthwhile to practice and get that phone set up just the way you want to use it. So, in this section that we're focusing on today, the Do Not Disturb, so we went to our settings section, and now we're in the notifications of settings. And in this notifications is the Do Not Disturb setting. In this screenshot, I have that on. So I'm one of the people that never turn my phone off. It's with me all day, all night long. So that I don't get calls in the middle of the night from somebody that I don't want to call from. I use the Do Not Disturb. You could also use the Do Not Disturb as David was indicating, any time of the day to block calls that are not in your contact list, or we can change that to calls that are not in your favorites. So, if you get a call with your do not disturb on and you have it set for contacts, anybody that's in your contact list, that call will come through. Or if you have it set up to only your favorites, family, friends, only those calls will come through. So it's a pretty nice feature once you get really familiar with the phone and you have that always with you and you just don't want that to be ringing all the time. This is the way you would set your phone up to screen out those calls. So we're going to, you know, I thought I was going to make this through without my glasses. I think I can. No, I can't. Notifications, do not disturb. Like I say, the nice thing about these phones is they do so much. The bad thing about these phones is they have so much that to play around with. Oh, yeah, so this is one of the features that are in there. Frank, if you can go back to the first.
Take the first one.
Yep. So I've had this in the class several times. You'll notice in the bottom right corner, there's a counter. That means that I have 56 messages waiting for me in WhatsApp. Does anyone use WhatsApp? I love that program. I don't necessarily. WhatsApp is a Facebook product, but it's just for people who want to set up a communication string with a select group. So I use it for work. My fellow work associates use a WhatsApp string to communicate. I use it with a set of friends and a set of, and of course, my family. It's a nice way to send pictures, thoughts, ideas, comments to just a group of people. So, whether it's the Pinnacle Club, or, the PC Club, that's a nice feature. So, for people who are have a group of friends that you like to share information with, WhatsApp is a pretty nice feature. So, can we go back to that last screen? So, whenever you have that, if you have those notices on your screen and you don't want that, you can turn that off in your Do Not Disturb settings portion. There's some people that just don't want it. They don't need that. So that would be the way you do it. And then the next one. So we're back to the Do Not Disturb. And then the next one. Yeah. So basically what we did was go back. So now in the Do Not Disturb section, this is where you adjust your settings for Do Not Disturb. I know it's a little bit complicated. That's why we do the classes in the computer lab. But once, and this is true with just about anything you want to do on your phone, once you start using it a couple times, and it just falls into place. So this is the screen where you customize how you want your Do Not Disturb to be set up. At the top, there's 3 selections: alarms, media, and touch zones. So, and I'll go back to my example that I use my phone at night. I still want my alarms to ring because my phone is my alarm clock. I have an alarm clock in the room just because I've always had an alarm clock in the room, but I don't use it. I use my phone. So because I use my phone and I use the alarm, I turn that on. But any media, whether it's the weather channel with reports of inclement weather, whatever that media source is, if they send me a text, it's silence or a notice. And then touch sound. So that's other things you can do with the phone. That when the phone works, it sends a tone or a signal. I turn that off. So the only thing that's on when I set my do not disturb this alarms. Now, in this next section, calls from, this is where you can change who gets through on your call. Unfortunately, I couldn't screen print this because it's a box within a box and it wouldn't let me do the screen print. But when I click on calls from, on mine, you can see I have it from favored contacts only. So all the people in my contacts list that I signified with a star are the only ones that could come through. Everyone else is blocked out. My options are on, I have 3 options on that selection. One is all the people in my contact list. So if a call came in and it didn't match up with the number of my contact list, it wouldn't come in. If it was, it would come through. And then the third option is none. No calls come through. Now, so messages from is the same thing. You know, so that would be your text messages and any other messages that you might get. Repeat callers. This is interesting. I have this off, but what it's saying there is allow calls when they are received from the same phone number more than once within 15 minutes. That's interesting to me. And it's 15 minutes. It's not 15 seconds or a minute. It's 15 minutes. So it kind of eliminates the robocalls because they're not going to robocall. But, you know, it was the Huntley police or the fire department. Get out of your house. It's on fire. You know, if they ring me twice within 15 minutes, then I'll get that call. It's an interesting feature. I have that off, but just wanted to point that out. And then event task alert. So, you know, for if you set up your phone with different notifications automatically, you can have that turned on as well. I have it off. And then reminders. So, a lot of interesting selections there, but the main point is do not disturb. So, on your phone, you have that ability to screen out calls in this setting selection, which I think is pretty powerful. We have a half an hour to go.
Whatever you want.
Okay. Would anyone like to try that dancing sequence with me? So if we could go back to, or on to the next one. Hide notifications. And again, so this is the notifications that you could set up, and you can identify each one that you would want blacked out for it to go through. That's how much of a selection you have on these things. And again, think about the thought that what we're doing here is just talking about do not disturb and your options within that. When you think about all the things that these phones do, they're amazing as to how useful they can be for us on things. And then we should have the last one. Well, that was it. And then we could go to the first. Yeah. There's another segment within the do not disturb that I want to go back to and just throw out for your consideration. You can not only do this do not disturb at night, you can do it any time of the day. And then you can set up segments of the day that you could do it. So you can set your phone up so that when you hit the do not disturb, it only occurs from a time, let's say 10:30 at night to 6:30 in the morning, or 3 in the afternoon to 5 in the afternoon if you want to take a nap and not get disturbed. you have that ability in that do not disturb as well. And I forgot to mention it when we were looking at that. So this is my home screen on the phone, and this is what we do in the classes for you. So for anyone that's thinking about getting an Android phone, have an Android phone, and you want to get a little bit better at using the features that are available to you, I usually point out a couple of things on this screen that are useful to me that I use a lot, and just to share that with you. So on my home screen, I have my weather app at the very top of the screen. So that weather app comes from a selection within my widget feature on the Android phone. And is everyone who has an Android phone familiar with the widget features? If you're not, just a quick thought, you have all the things on your phone that are available to you, and those are available to you in these icons. On the Android phone, if you think about it, you have kind of like two file drawers of additional things that you can use on your phone. One is all the apps that are available on the internet, and the other is features that were preloaded by the manufacturer of your phone and your cell phone provider called widgets. So I found this app in my widgets that I like a lot. It's actually the Weather Channel. But on this particular icon that I've loaded, it gives me the time of the day that I can read without my reading glasses. That's a big plus for me. I like that a lot. It also gives me the date, which for me, I like that the date's there as well. And then it gives me the current temperatures outside. And if there were any severe weather notices, it would pop up in that screen and let me know that there's inclement weather coming. The nice thing about it, for me, is that takes up one line of icon space, 4 digits long. Some of those apps, you get them and it takes up half your screen. And I don't want to give up that much screen real estate just to the weather app, because I want my phone set up to have the things that I use the most readily available to me. And for those of you who like that idea of having a weather app on your home screen, on some of them, they do allow you to put it on your screen. Of course, you have to remove the icon so it can fit initially. But on some of these apps, when you load it on, it takes the half screen. If you tap it, it may give you the option to resize it. And then you can resize it to the size that you need to take up the space that you want and still give you the information that you're looking for. So again, that's something we do in the class as well. My second favorite feature on this phone is that in the widgets section, you have the ability to put a note on your home screen. And of course, on your phones, on the bottom left corner on this particular phone, which is an old Samsung, and we all have this on the Android phones and I'm sure on the iPhones, a notepad section where you can actually put notes into like a Word notepad type program. I use that a lot because it's instant to the phone. You don't have to open up Microsoft Word. You don't have to go on the internet. Your information is instant to you when you click that button and pull up one of your notes. But this particular widget lets you put a specific note up on your home page, and anytime you update that note, it updates it on your home screen. So on mine, I put on on the top of mine is the things that I want to do today, and so I remind myself that today I need to exercise, get it done, and keep it super simple. I really work on the keep it super simple a lot. You may not recognize that, but I do put a lot of effort into trying to keep things super simple. And then the people that I want to call today, and if I have things that if I have stops that I have to make, stop at the Ford dealer, take a look at the electric cars, whatever I'm doing that day goes on that list. And every time I open up my phone, those things are right there looking at me when I'm working with my phone. And then the rest of the apps that are on this main screen are the things that I use a lot. I use all these programs every day, most of them several times a day. One of the things that I'm working on, and I just want to throw it out there for this group because it is such a good group, and honestly, I really appreciate everyone coming out to these. It's great that we do that. I have something on this phone called store coordinates. We've talked about this in past clubs about the 911 call. If anyone's familiar with CCOM 911 or caught any of the presentations that the police department has done for us, you know that that many of the communities here are tied into the 911 service. It's a community, it's a group of communities that this provider serves. The thing that I didn't realize when I sat in on one of the neighborhood meetings where they were there, CCOM 911, was that when we make a 911 call from our phones, it goes to the CCOM center. They get that call. And then depending on where it comes from, they direct the right resources to get to us. The gentleman mentioned when he did that is, and when you make it from your cell phone, they know where you're at within a few thousand feet most times. Sometimes it could be a half a mile, but most times when we call 911 from our cell phone, they know where we're at within a few thousand feet. Well, a few thousand feet. What if I was at my neighbor's house, taking care of the dog or the pets or doing something, and something happened, I was able to hit 911, but that was it. They'd come to my house because they had my address, but I wouldn't be there. I'd be next door. They wouldn't know that. They'd have to find me. Phones have the ability to send out your exact GPS locations that gets you most times within a few feet. We don't do that with our 911 service. We still use the triangulation of the cell phone towers to kind of figure out, and that's why there's that difference there. So we do have an option which is a Smart 911. That's an app that can be loaded that may do a better job getting that information out to the service provider. So I have an icon there, store coordinates. I can't change that name, but what it is my GPS location. It's an app, it's a free app, and if I click on that, it tells me what my exact GPS location is, and it gives it to me in the coordinates of where I'm at, which is very helpful. So if I was out on Sunflower Trail and I had to make a 911 call and they say where you're at, I can hit that button and I can give them my exact GPS location and they'll know exactly where I'm at. So it's a lot of technology out there. And the point being is that as we get better using these devices, that's how helpful it can be to us. Kind of interesting stuff. So GPS locations.
When you hit that icon, where do those coordinates go? Are they on your screen?
Yeah.
So you need to tell somebody what they are.
Yes, you have to read those numbers off.
It doesn't transmit.
No, and it'd be nice if we could get and it looks like the roadblock is the FTC and talking to different people on this. You know, ever since cell phones came along, the FCC said, well, cell phone providers, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, what you have to do is include the address and name information when that 911 call goes out. That's all they have to do. And that's what the providers do. I mean, whoever has, I've called Verizon, I've used Verizon, but I'm sure if you have AT&T and you call them and say, hey, would it be possible to set my phone up so that when I make a 911 call, that my phone sends out my current GPS location? Well, we don't do that because the FCC tells us that what we need to do is send your address and name. Well, I understand you can do that too, right? But how about just including my GPS? No, we don't do that. So I don't understand the restriction on that, but that's what we have. So with that, we have 15 minutes, a nice segment for questions and answers.
One thing to clarify, on the iPhone side of the fence, the ability to schedule when the do not disturb is in effect is available on the iPhone. So if you don't want any calls between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., you can set that up. And the repeat call from the same number, that's something that's automatic. It's not an on or off on the iPhone. It's there all the time. Okay. Now, we have questions. We got plenty of time for some questions. Yep. We have a microphone coming around right behind you. Shelley has the mic.
I just want to congratulate you on your new chairs.
Well, thank you very much. If we could take credit, we would.
Thank you. Okay. I've got a question on the iPhone. If we've set up this do not disturb, will the robocall still go to our voicemail?
Automatically, not ringing on your phone.
Okay, and then will it still show the number that's calling?
Yes. And it will probably even identify it as potential spam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, and let me just add on to that question. Is when you go back to retrieve that call, you'll have an option to permanently block that number. So once you review the message, it's from that India car warranty salesman, you can permanently block them out. Of course, I think those guys are onto that now. They just keep changing their number and keep calling you for that car warranty.
Yes.
In regards to block calls, if I block a call and I delete that number, is that call still going to stay blocked?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will. I think so.
Thank you.
And if it doesn't, block them again.
I think it goes into permanent registry.
Dave?
Okay, I have two questions. One, and I don't know if this is unique to, I have a Motorola Android, because different vendors have different options on their phones. When I have an incoming call, before I answer, one of the options is to screen call. And it will deliver an outgoing message that says, the person you're calling is screening calls, and leave your name and the reason why you're calling, and then I get like a text message that tells me what they said, and then I can answer it or reject it. Is that something that's common on all Android? I only use the Motorola Android.
Well, I've made a couple calls where I got that, and so, I put in who I am and why I'm calling, and I never get through to those people for some reason, I don't know. But it's interesting how I'm gonna be looking into that on mine. That's, and for all of us, how many times have you, like sent a text message and you gotten, a text right back saying, hey, I'm driving right now. I'll call you back later. It's that same concept. And that's a very useful feature. Another one of those, nice things that once we start using our phone, it's one of those things that, could kind of fall into place and make our lives a little bit, easier to navigate.
As a follow, is there an app like No More Robo that you can put on your phone?
Not in the iPhone area, because they've got this other thing already built in, where you can block unknown callers.
Okay, No More Robo has a database of known spammers, and they'll automatically reject the call for you.
Right.
So it's a little different than.
Now, on the Android, side, and I did take a look at that, before the class. So if I do a search for apps on Do Not Disturb, there's hundreds, but most of them are like, Do Not Disturb movies, Do Not Disturb cartoons, trying to, just refine the hits to apps. It looks like there's probably a couple dozen, but then, trying to go through each one to see what they offer and how well they're set up takes a little time to go through, and I didn't do that part. As I was doing my part of the presentation, it's pretty obvious that on our phones, that gets kind of complicated to set up. And again, I'm a person that I like things to be super simple. Just give it to me as simply as I possibly can get it. So if there was a Do Not Disturb program that was set up really well, that made that easy, I'd be the first one to sign up. And if I find something like that, I'll certainly share it.
If you have a cell phone plan with one of the major wireless carriers, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, they all have free spam blocking services, so you can subscribe to that, and that will automatically tell you when it's a potential spam call or some such thing.
Other questions?
Yeah, I have a situation when I'm in my car and the phone's paired to the car, but when I get out of the car and go away from it, the volume on my phone automatically is turned way down to where I don't, the ringer, to where I don't hear it. Is that something I can change in settings, or is it just something that?
Yeah, you're talking iPhone, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's the button on the side where you can adjust the volume of the ringer.
Yeah.
And that should not change when you're in the car, because that's a physical, mechanical adjustment.
Yeah. Well, when I get out of the car, it's down way low. I don't know what's doing that.
And you link into your car Bluetooth?
Yeah.
So it might be something in that settings. That's,
You might be hearing it on
yeah. Because you're using a different
the on
speaker.
the car,
So
that's
it's,
on the car speaker.
Go ahead, Shelley.
yeah, if you're using a different speaker, so with Bluetooth, you know, you're going to be using the car speaker as opposed to the internal speaker. So that it's, your volume is going to be, it's addressing a different device. So you may have to adjust the volume for that device.
Anything else?
Yeah, Shelley earlier mentioned that T-Mobile and a couple of other major carriers have that spam feature or identification. Consumer Cellular also does that.
I've got a question.
Let's get the mic over to you.
question regarding sending out a text on the phone, and it comes back and says not delivered, and it says time sensitive. What does that mean? It's an iPhone.
Well, not delivered means obviously that the person on the other end either has their phone off or has you blocked. And time sensitive would indicate that something in the message was critical. I don't know how the phone is smart enough to say what is or isn't time sensitive.
I don't either.
I mean, I know when I get a weather alert, that's considered time sensitive and gives you that kind of an alert. But otherwise, I don't know.
Okay, I don't either.
Sorry. Well, thank you all for coming. Next month, we're going to visit the new library offerings, the new brick and mortar offerings that your tax dollars paid for. And we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.